Hey groupies, happy Monday. Today marks the launch of our fall small group season. I am so excited. Tonight, some of our 5-week core value series will be starting. I just wanted to take a moment to welcome all of our new leaders and also just talk through the 5-week ATM core value series that we'll be doing together. By now, all of you should have received the ATM outlines. And if you're doing an in-person group, you would have received your 5-week kit. So I just want to talk through that really quick. Make sure you guys kind of know what's going on with that. So if we take a look at the ATMs, what you're going to find is there are optional icebreakers at the beginning of every group. I highly encourage icebreakers. They are a great way to do as they say, just break the ice. It's an opportunity for your group members to just kind of get comfortable, relax, laugh a little bit, kind of take their guard down, get our hearts and minds just prepped and ready to a more openness and willingness to share. So looking at the first icebreaker for your group, you can see it's just a simple roll the dice question game. So every group member just takes a turn rolling a dice. Whatever number they land on would then be the question that they answer. So that's just a way to gauge some fun conversation, get to know one another, and break the ice a little bit. A tip with icebreakers, know your group. Okay, some of the icebreakers, maybe you'll think, that's not really the greatest one for my group of people. Switch it up. There are tons of resources on Google, on Pinterest, ideas of what you can do. You can go old school and just grab some games that you might have on hand, like catchphrase, but try to do something fun, even just a simple one question to just kind of open up a little more subtly. So that's icebreakers. And for those of you that are in-person groups, you have all of the supplies to do these games. The next would be discussion questions. There are discussion questions for every week that tie along to the sermon series. And this is the meat of small groups. This is where we're trying to engage in biblical discussion. We're trying to study the Bible. We're trying to just really dig deep together. So you'll have a series of discussion questions. Within the ATM outline, you will see some areas where it says a little L. That's a leader prompt. And so basically those are things outside of questions that you as a leader or host would then be sharing with the group to kind of prep and get ready for the next discussion question. So just know that's what that's about. And then lastly, every group, you should be taking prayer requests and then taking time to pray together. So those really are the ATMs in a nutshell. But a couple other things, I just want to give a couple tips for your group. Especially if you're new to leading. Tip number 1, do not be afraid of silence. Okay, if you ask a question and it's crickets, I know your skin might crawl, you might be freaking out, but don't. People need a little bit of time to work up some bravery to be able to answer. So don't be afraid if there's a little bit of silence. If enough time has passed where nobody's sharing, be ready to give a sample answer. So that's why it's important as a leader to go through the questions ahead of time and kind of just make a couple notes of things that you could share or examples that you could give to help lead your group. And then after you've provided an example, if you needed to, then other people, they might just need that little bit of encouragement or get the wheels turning for them to then share. So always give another opportunity for someone else to kind of speak up and share. Tip number 2, you do not have to ask all of these discussion questions. This is just here as a guide. It's here to help you with your group. So use your best judgment based on how your group flows. Again, kind of look through them. If you see ones that are really meaty, ones you really want to talk about, circle them so you know as your evening goes what you want to kind of hit and touch on. But just know, don't be rigid. Don't be so structured where you're thinking we have to get through all of these, right? Just gauge your group, gauge your time. The point of small groups is to be fun and it's to have an enjoyable time learning together. So just keep that in mind. Tip number 3, share your leadership. You can pass around the leader guide with the questions on it and have everyone take turns, assign someone a number. so that they have to speak out and ask the question. That way you don't feel like you're constantly talking the whole entire night. Share. If you're techie, cast the ATM guide to your TV, and you guys can share the questions that way as well. But just get creative in your leadership. And then one last thing for the first week here, within your kit, there are picture frames for your first group meeting and your last group meeting photos. I thought this would be super fun to kind of just take a picture of your group the first day you meet. If you're meeting virtually, do a screenshot. But we want to just see day one, week one, and then compare that to the last week at the end of the 5 weeks. And I think what we're going to find is the difference in how our groups will change. As we spend this time together, I think you'll find people will probably be kind of rigid in their photos, a little bit uncomfortable. And by the end, you're going to see the family environment that gets created because of studying God's word together. So just do that. And we plan to display that up at Kenergy once we have all the photos collected. But have fun this week. I really hope you guys enjoy this study. I thank you so much for stepping up in leadership. And I will be praying that God will do big things through your group. I love you guys, and let's have a great fall season together.